Tanya T,
Yes.
it's taken me a minute to get to the point where I can record this, but we're recording. Thank you for having me join you and your founders in the B3 Technical program, cybersecurity. No one's talking about it. They're talking about artificial intelligence and automation and all these fancy
Chat
tools,
GPT,
chat
all of that.
GPT, all of that. But they're not talking about cybersecurity. And I think it's a mistake. I do. I think if you build a house, no matter how elaborate and put very expensive, beautiful things inside, if you don't think about security, you might have a problem. And the more you put in the house and the less secure it is, the more likely you're going to have someone come and visit you. I am thinking about these founders and where they are. Do they have strong passwords? If they have employees, are those employees trained on things like changing that password regularly, password complexity? If they're using smartphones to access your network and your files and your assets, are you training them? But you brought something to my attention, and that's like, let's start with the founder themselves.
Hmm.
Are they practicing good habits, good cyber hygiene? So, do you encrypt your data? Probably not. So, as we move past marketing, are they working with digital marketing right now
They
or
will
with?
be, not right now. They're still just in the operations phase with Rashid. That's what they've pretty much been working on now. And how they operate, which I think is a key component. The cybersecurity is really a key component of that as far as how you are operating on a day-to-day basis. Actually, I was with one of my founders this morning, and she said to me, she said, I realized that I really wasn't operating as a business. This was a hustle until I talked to Rashid, and he helped me see the systems that I needed to put into place.
So Rashid's putting points on the board, and I'm competitive. You don't know that about me. I'm competitive. So, what do you want to see in terms of the output or the value of your founders in the B3 Technical program interacting with me and my network for cybersecurity? What can I do for you? What can I do for them?
So what I want to see is something you said earlier is about them taking this seriously, right? And I'll just tell a really quick story. Something popped up in my feed from Nordstrom's the other day. Nordstrom's off the rag to get a bag. I purchased, or I thought I purchased. Nothing happened. I get an email, and I go finally the email, have a chat with the Nordstrom's rack representative. They tell me that's not their order number code. That's not how they. So taking it seriously on starting with yourself with how you are protecting your personal data. Are you using two-step authentication? Number one. What are those things that I just as an individual need to have in place? And then two, how do I protect the data of those that my customer, whether that is as a service-based business or product-based business, how am I protecting that data? What do I have in place to ensure that people are not able to have access to my CRM? They're not able to get a hold to my Shopify site, those type of things. Just as something as simple as the as the SSL certificate, right? Just something, just these I won't call them little, but these basic things that you could put in place to provide as much security as you to ensure that to ensure that your customers know that they can trust you.
Thank you for that. And so when we started to talk about this, you introduced me to a representative from a insurance company that is familiar with policy. It's kind of like a la carte add
Mhm.
on to your general liability for cybersecurity. And if you're watching this as a B3 technical founder and you haven't watched that video yet, go back, watch that video so you can gain some situational awareness and why it's important to at least think about what you need to do in order to get a insurance policy that covers you for the loss of data or a breach? Like, how do you, with that mansion you've built with all of those expensive things, if someone comes and steals something, how are you made whole again? And that's the metaphor that I'm using. Watch the video and then check in Mighty Networks where there is a workbook. And there are like 5 or 6 sheets we want you to fill out that help us understand where you are. That's what's in it for us. What's in it for you is to help you think about your business. What does your house look like? What is
Right.
this layout? And I think that many of us as small business owners or startups, we don't think about it. We build it as we fly, and we're building it as fast as we can because we don't want to run out of runway. But once you've built this thing out, what condition is it in? What position are you in to continue operations and continue to serve your customer if something goes wrong? And that's what I'd like us to do together. So Tanya, I'm going to pull up a friend. I'm going to call this artificial intelligence a friend. So we could talk about how your founders can navigate those worksheets.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, Tanya. I'm going to share my sound just in case. Let me know when you can see my Google landing page.
Yes, now we have a atmospheric view.
Off planet, outer orbit. I'd like your technical participants, your B3Technical participants, to type "Hello Pi" into the search
Hello,
bar.
Pi.
And that's PI, like the mathematical pi. And you'll see Pi, your personal AI. Click through on that and we'll launch Pi. Pi has great manners. Pi wants to be useful to you and know how you're doing. Right? And so we're doing great. I am here with a friend and we'd like to talk about cybersecurity. I'm going to spell right, URITY. Even if you spell wrong, Pi has a lot of grace. All right, so Pi wants to know if we want to be specific. So small business. So Pi wants to know something about us. I think it's okay to tell Pi that we're small business owners, right? So yes, we're both small business owners. We have a worksheet packet that we need to complete. Can you help?
Help. Absolutely.
So what kind of questions does the worksheet have? For example, does it cover topics like network security, data protection, employee training, or incident response, or is it more general? So if you go to your B3Technical worksheet packet that you'll find in Mighty Networks, Tanya, tell me if you can see
I see what you're doing.
You do? All right, perfect.
You're at your Google folder.
Perfect. So here we have an asset inventory summary that's in your packet, right? So asset name, type of asset, description, like make, model, specification.
So can I suggest that you define asset?
Oh, you want to ask Pi?
Let's ask Pi.
So let's ask Pi. The first worksheet, and you don't actually have to use complete sentences. It's helpful. You don't have to be nice. It's actually helpful, I think, to do so. But let's just say for the purpose of running through this, that the first worksheet is labeled Asset Inventory Summary. Titled Asset Inventory Summary. So without telling Pi what this asset inventory summary is, but context that it's cybersecurity, context that it's a small business, and the title of the worksheet, asset inventory summary. Our output or a reply from Pi is an asset inventory, is a list of all the things within a company that need to be protected, like hardware, software, data, and even people. By taking stock of these assets, you can identify what needs to be protected and how. Can I ask how big your businesses are? Are they small enough that you manage most things yourself, or do you have an IT staff? I'm asking the questions here, Pi.
Hi, I'm asking the questions.
I'm
Okay.
asking the questions here, Pi. Right? So let's take a break from Pi for just a moment and let's look at the packet in its totality. All right, so I pause the recording so we can
Now everyone knows what asset is, right? Anything
from what Pi
that you are
said.
using as a part of your business.
So I paused the recording, okay?
Okay.
Oh, wait, did I pause? No, I think I paused the share. Hold on. That's the share. Where's the recording? Stop share. No, I'm still recording. They'll forgive us. Okay, I'm pausing. Okay, so B3Technical founders, please bear with us for just a moment. If you happen to be given a link of this video recording, or you saw this post on LinkedIn and you want to join in on this journey, Tanya, do they need a special code or do they need anything to join the B3Technical program?
They do not. Once you go to this page, if you see where it says choose a plan, you would simply click there. If you're not already a part of it, you can access the B3 Technical Assistance, which is right there on the left. That is our free technical assistance program. And then we have a paid version, which allows you to get more access to more content resources that we provide.
Okay. Okay. So I am going to see if we can do math in public and do this in real time. I'm going to see what email address. Oh, they recognize my
There you go.
administrative account.
Welcome back, Nefertiri.
Perfect. Perfect. And so I'm going to navigate to B3Technical. And this is Rashid. Rashid is doing operations.
This is our operations guru.
Okay. So just like you're watching this, for the purposes of improving your cybersecurity posture, Rashid is leading the part of the program for operations. So I encourage you not just to do the cybersecurity portion because you saw the link to this video, but I'd encourage you to go through the whole program. So I'm going to click on the B3 Technical Assistance and cybersecurity worksheets.
So yeah, there we go.
There we go. All right, so let me see what this says. There's 35 sheets here. So starting with our first sheet, cover sheet, and then moving into some good to know information, talking about cyber risk for small business, right? And then here's an overview. So we have a data summary questionnaire, then a questionnaire from Hanover, which is one of the insurance providers that insures for cybersecurity. So you're not submitting this to Hanover or Corvus or Travelers. You're just using their documents to get a good understanding of the type of questions that you might be asked by an agent if you were to seek out premium rates or policy, right? But you're going to know beforehand the type of questions that they ask. And these questions that they ask should be in alignment with what you need as a small business owner, independent if you have cybersecurity insurance or not. I would like to scroll all the way down to the B3Technical Asset Inventory questionnaire, and then the data collection questionnaire. So I'm gonna go all the way down. And this puts us here. So we talked about the asset inventory questionnaire. It's really good to always have a handle on when you submitted information so you know if that information expires, right? So July 17th of 2023, we're updating this. Our asset inventory name might be CEO's laptop. The description laptop. The description of that is Nefertari's primary asset for administrative IT/IV tasks. Right? Where's the location? She's going to say in her office. So at CIC, 3675 Market Street. Like that's where it stays. The purpose, we talked about that. So then I would actually take this and say, this is a Microsoft service and some model number, right? So then the purpose, purchase date, purchase price, condition. It's a great condition. This was a new one. My other one, not so much. Data storing. What type of data is stored, right? And yes, no, and then last date verified data is today. So at the top, it's helpful. The information that you need for each field is described there. And this is a PDF that you can enter this information. Again, you're not providing this to anyone. You're downloading this and you're keeping it for your own personal records and your own business records. So you have a couple sheets for the asset inventory summary, and then we'll move on to the customer data summary. So the date, what data do you need to transact with a customer? What data would you like to have about your existing or prospective customers? This is really important information as you do customer discovery, as you think about your sales funnel, as you think about the type of audience you would like to bring into your environment, right? And so there are a couple questions here. How many devices are used to collect, process, store, or access customer data? Right? Because if you only have one, then that's only one way in terms of a device that a malicious actor or a bad guy gains access. An insider threat or someone that is just haphazardly on your network, that they can gain access. If you have more than 6, that's just more doors and windows that you need to be concerned with, right? So of these 6 plus, who has possession of the devices used to handle customer data? Right? Is it all at CIC at 3675 Market Street, or do you have multiple business locations, or do you have people that work remotely? Are they moving around the country in co-working spaces? These are questions that you should be able to answer, right? And so when you go down to the lower fields, you start to fill in more details on this. Next page, we're talking about the type of data. Names, addresses, date of birth, medical records, credit card information, bank accounts, other financial information, social security numbers. What about credit reports? Right? Name, address, date of birth. As you start to go down this list, you're not only responsible, but legally liable for some of these fields of information. So going through this sheet is going to help you get a good understanding and visibility in front of you, like sight picture in front of you of what you have, what you collect, where it is, who has it, right? I'm looking for a north-south. Yes, telling me like you got it. Okay, are there any questions that you think that your founders would ask at this point?
Well, one thing I think that needs to be clear when we talk about devices, because folks are using Cash App and Venmo and Zelle, and even in Square, that even if you have the Square device, that's a device. I hate that. I know that sounds silly, but you wouldn't count just your phone. You would have to count that separate device that you use to tap on as a device as well. So I think it's important to be clear about the number of assets that we're talking about. That your phone, you're using your phone in any way to do business, then that is an asset, that is a device.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. And so as we move through, there are questions again for us as a team asking you, do you have someone, or are you the person taking responsibility as a compliance officer? And that compliance officer, or that role, that function, is to ensure that if you are legally obligated to handle medical records, health records, credit card information for processing, that you have someone or you have accepted the responsibility of being compliant, right, with credit card processing or PCI laws. And then thinking about your sales, because this is where we make money, your transactions, right? So you have a product or a service, you have a customer, and then you have the pipes that you facilitate that transaction through. So how much by way of percentage are online, right? And then thinking about the number of persons that you're responsible for, do you employ? If so, there's some questions about hiring practices. This, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. But
And
think
one thing
about,
I'll say about the hiring practices is keep in mind that, if you come to this and you say, well, because I hear it all the time, it's just me. Okay. But going forward, if you're growing your business, you can't think about it from the standpoint that it's going to always be just you, right? So as you look at this, do you do the type of work that's going to require a criminal background check, right? What type of data training would you like to provide when you're onboarding your first employee or your next employee, right? Those type of things. So begin to kind of think outside of the box when you look at the hiring practices portion of this.
Yeah, it's a great point. And so if we look at number 5, written and explicit policies in place to deal with a data breach, that I consider a must-have, but I don't think that many of us do. And so you can just answer the question no, and that's okay at this point. But if you like to, with this question or any other questions, really have thought partnership, I'm here for you. Tanya, the other members of your cohort are here for you, but so is our friend Pi, right? So if we highlight this, right? Let's see if we could talk to Pi. I'm going to stop sharing and navigate back to Pi, our personal assistant. I need to share my screen once again. And last we spoke to Pi, Pi asked us the question, but we're the ones asking the question. So we have small business. I'm going to paste this and need to think about written and explicit policies to deal with a data breach, and take the question mark. And let's see Pi's response. So we could talk to Pi about a full-blown incident response plan or IRP, but we just want to talk about the basics. So we're actually not asking you any details about your incident response plan. So I'm going to say no, but what are 5 things we should think about? Review and update your security policies and procedures. So think back to the original question. Do you have policies? Do you have explicit written policies that if something happens, you wake up after a great night's rest and you go to Instagram first thing and you've been hacked? What do you do?
What do you do?
Right. And that might be you as a solopreneur. And as you grow your business, now you have someone that manages your social media. What are they supposed to do? Right. So you're going through the worksheet again to help us, but more importantly, to help yourself. Right. And so If you have any issues with the worksheet, please feel free to reach out to me, Nefertari at teachersand.com. Of course, Tanya is always available and will route anything to me that's necessary. So after you complete this worksheet, we'd like to actually have you go through some basic cybersecurity training. There are 3 pillars of cybersecurity that we believe is foundational and everyone should think about. And there's an acronym, CIA, or confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Do you have access to your resources, to the data? Does anyone else have access to it that shouldn't? That's the availability part of it. When you access that data or when someone else does, do you have the ability to modify it? Do they? Because once it's modified, the integrity of the data is in jeopardy, right? And then confidentiality, again, thinking about who has access to it. If it's information they shouldn't see, especially if you're legally liable for keeping it confidential, someone's health records, their social security number, right? So we think about those 3 pillars. So in that presentation, you'll be able to follow along. Of course, we'll give you the slide deck so you can, and we'll talk about some of those cybersecurity basics. Tanya, what I really want to do with your founders is after we get to a point where they're aware of the vulnerabilities and the threats that are in place that could impact their assets, right? Physical, hardware, as well as data. I'd love to be able to get together and see
Yes,
how well they've done and do like a tabletop exercise. I think a scenario, a main street scenario, so they can feel the stress, so they can feel the pressure, but be in a sandbox, a safe environment
yeah,
where, because you don't have complex passwords, here's the so what, here's the impact. I now have all of your things, but it's a scenario, so not really. And I think our friends at CIC in the Venture Cafe area could host us. We could do it
yep.
here in Philly. What do you think? Yeah, we got to.
I love that idea. I think we absolutely should do that. And I think it'll be a good firsthand experience around, again, taking this serious, right? And really increasing your awareness about why this is important and why you need to put these systems in place.
All right. So you have a questionnaire, 39 pages, I think it was, but excuse me, it'll go by fast. Got excited. Hello Pi is available to help you out. We're available to help you out as well. We'll have that recording that goes through the 3 pillars of cybersecurity and some of the just foundational knowledge, best practices. And then we'll get together for a Main Street tabletop exercise. We really, really are excited to meet you in person and B3Technical, Teachers and Mom Your Business. Again, thank you so much for taking this seriously and improving the cybersecurity posture of small businesses in the greater Philadelphia region. And thanks for inviting me in, Tanya.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.